Hello everyone, how y'all doing? Alright, doing an anime talk. Now, I'm the only one here at the moment, and I'll be the only one in this anime talk. I have to record it a day early. I forgot that I had stuff planned on Saturday this week from like 2 months ago. And yeah, I have to record this today and upload it and put it out tomorrow, so it's a good time. Sorry, everyone. I really didn't want to have to do this ever, and it's like the third week and I'm doing it, so whoops. But oh well, life goes on, I guess. Anyways, we're here to talk about No Game No Life, which is a fucking fantastic anime. If you aren't aware, oh my god, you better have watched it, because this is out of the what, two anime, even though it was just one anime and 2 seasons of it, out of them, this is definitely the one that I'd recommend the most. That's the word I'm going for. Yeah, this anime's fucking great, dude. Okay, so let's start off as usual with the opening. You should know the opening to No Game No Life if you like anime openings by now. Uh, the opening is called No Game. Oh, the song is beautiful. So good. It, like, it is the perfect opening for this anime. And honestly, I feel like it was probably specially made for the anime after looking at the lyrics, but maybe not. I don't know. Either way, it's fucking great. The opening animation is alright. I mean, nothing too extraordinary. Still better than the static images of Boku no Hero Academia Season 1 opening. That was not... I really didn't like the opening animation to that, if you can't tell. We're 3 weeks into this, and I'm still complaining about it. But, nah, it wasn't, like, overly done or anything. No Game No Life just has a normal... what I call a normal anime opening. Nothing stands out too particularly, animation-wise, though the song's fucking amazing. So, doing good on that front. I'm going to kill this motherfucking fly in my room. I just have a fly flying around me, being a legit pain in the ass. But, oh well. It's weird being the only one talking, because, A, I don't know how long this is gonna be. We'll just have to see. But, B, I'm used to having other people input, so... yeah, also, sorry, hit the mic, fuck. Now, I am treating this like a live stream. I'm going to kill this fucking fly. But I am treating this like a live stream, so I'm not going to do multiple takes or anything. We're just one-shotting it. I didn't even open up a sticky note before this, but I need to get this recorded and started uploading. It's gonna take forever! Anyway, let me get myself back on topic here, because if you've seen the past two, you know that sidetracks are bound to happen. Like, inevitably. But, okay, we talked about the opening. Not much to say. Great opening. Animation to the opening is decent. That's about it. So, how about we go over the characters? Now this is where the fun part comes in, everyone. Sorry, getting a drink of water, but, ooh. The fun comes in with the characters, because Sora and Shiro, the two main characters, are literally gods among men in this show, and it's great. So, let's see, who do I want to go over first? I'll go over Sora first. Both Sora and Shiro are brother and sister. Sora is the guy and Shiro is the girl. And they lived in Japan somewhere. I don't think it necessarily said where. They were shut-in neats, so they just played video games the whole time. Like, it was bad, man. And I've read the first 2 light novels for No Game No Life, and they were bad, dude. Like, they never left their fucking room. Uh, but the thing is, both the anime and the light novels start off with the same thing. Tet, the one true god of the world Disboard, which is the world Sora and Shiro get sucked into, starts off by saying uh, something along the lines of, "Have you ever heard of the legend?" And it continues on to talk about Kuhaku, or the blank, and they blank is Sora and Shiro, and they are collectively two video gaming fucking genius masterminds, basically. They've never lost. They have the high score in like every game. They've never lost once. They are gaming gods. It is exactly what they are. And as I get into both of their characters, I'll explain how that works. But it's an interesting concept that they've never lost, and they pride themselves on having never lost, and they refuse to lose. That goes against the legend of blank. But Sora, who's one half of blank, is someone who, well, like Sora and Shiro are both incredibly smart. I mean, they are far above the average person, like, intellectual-wise. That's the word I'm looking for. But, oh my god. Sora's specialties lie in that he can do... like, he understands people really, really fucking well. He understands how people decide the things they decide, how they approach problems, how they deal with situations, and that's part of, one of his specialties, is strategy games, and part of it is just because he understands how people strategize really, really fucking well. Like, it's ridiculous, dude. You watch someone like, I don't know, I can't think of a name off the top of my head, but you watch like the mind-reading psychiatrist type of people who can tell you exactly what you're thinking. Sora can do that and everything else. Like, it's not just like, oh, let me ask you a few questions about this, that, and the other. He will set a fucking trap, predict your every move, and then some. Like, it's ridiculous. He's an amazing character just in the sense of he understands how every other character will work. He understands how the psyche of people works. He understands how to manipulate people, how to fool people, how to make sure that he always comes out on top, and it's great. Now, he's also a shut-in, neat virgin pervert, and that is part of the joke of the show a few times. When we get to Steph, we'll find that one out. But, if I move on to Shiro for a few, Shiro, I hate when I say Japanese names with a normal R. It doesn't sound right. I will say that Shiro is also an equally as amazing character, except most of her character lies in the whole, like, cute, quiet, shy lolly thing, which isn't bad, but it's... I don't know. It seems slightly odd in this, but then it makes up for it with how fucking smart she is. Sora, like, he's smarter than a normal person, but that's because he's studied a bunch of crap just to make sure that he's on top of all of the games. Shiro was literally born a genius. In the anime it says that by the time she was 1, she was in, I don't know, some program or some facility for, like, the most intelligent people ever, you know? And she had, at one, she could already speak fluently and everything, and then they kept her there for a few years, and like, she never failed at anything in the intellectual tests or anything. It said she was bored by all of them. And then Sora came in. Now, Shiro and Sora are brother and sister. That's it. They're siblings. That's the word I'm looking for. And, it's, I don't think, from what I understand, they never met until, Sora and their parents went to pick up Shiro. They, I don't know what the correct term is. They released her from the facility. They let her go home. I don't know. It does kind of sound like they kidnapped her in a way. So, yeah, they went to pick up Shiro, and one of the things that Shiro noticed, just with how smart she was and everything, and keep in mind, what? She's like 1 or 2 at this point, so Sora's 7, 8, something like that. He's 7 years older than Shiro, and uh, he comes in, and Shiro noticed that he responded in like the perfect way with the perfect smile on his face, and Sora's name can be read as empty. And she just said, "You really are empty," and that like lit something up in Sora. He was incredibly amazed by the fact that she noticed his facade. She picked up on it instantly, and that kind of started their whole relationship of playing games together and everything, because the next thing that Sora said to Shiro was just, "Hey, you want to play a game?" And she's sitting in front of a chessboard, which, when we get into the plot, she's really, really fucking good at chess. uh, but yeah, that kind of set everything off on the start, and it's a rather interesting character background to me. I feel like some anime have probably tried something similar, but something about the way that they blend those two together is perfect, because the one always compensates for the other. If Sora can't do something, Shiro can, and if Shiro can't do something, Sora can. And the whole idea is that they can't physically lose. They are far too good at what they're doing to ever be in a position where it's like, well, fuck, we can't win. Even though it tries to make it seem like that, something works out, because they are quite literally gods among men, as I said earlier. But again, when we get into the plot, see, the thing is, in this show, like in Boku no Hero Academia, the plot was meh. Like, there's a plot, but most of it revolves around, like, how distinct the characters are. This show, the characters are distinct, but the plot, like, talking about the plot is where all of the actual interesting information comes in, because as far as Sora and Shiro go, Sora's just incredibly smart and incredibly good at reading people, but Shiro is incredibly smart, and then she's incredibly good at reading people. Like, they're really good at both things, but Sora is a lot better than Shiro at reading people, and Shiro is a lot better than Sora at just being naturally intelligent. So, it's an interesting combination. And then, you have Tet. Tet is literally the god of the world Disboard, which is, again, the world that Sora and Shiro get sucked into. And he's a... When we get to the plot, I'll explain it, but he's the god of play. And his whole thing is that he likes games and everything, and he set up this world of Disboard to be a world where everything, literally everything, is governed by games. You cannot fight someone physically. You cannot kill someone, you cannot rob someone, you cannot, like, injure someone. You have to resolve everything through games. And it's a really interesting concept for a world because it seems so simple, yet everything, like, you watch it and it makes everything seem so, like, incredibly calculated. Everyone's on their toes all the time, trying to figure out the best way to do everything, which, again, plot, that everything comes down in the plot. uh, because while the characters are distinct, they are, for the most part, a bit one-dimensional. Like, there's not a lot of this incredible character arc driving thing. It's just that people, they all have their own distinct thing, and some are, like in Sora and Shiro's case, they're just better at making things sound one way because they're manipulating you, and then, it goes back and that's their whole thing. But then, like, Tet, all Tet wants to do is have fucking fun. Like, that's his whole thing. As the god of play, he wants to have fun. He wants to have a challenge because in Discord, it seems like no one has ever grasped the fact that you can take on Tet for the title of one true god. Like, even though it starts off and he just goes, everything in this world can be fought over through a game, can be won through a game, and the first thing Sora and Shiro say are, oh, so you mean we could take your position? And he just laughed because they caught it instantly. And this is something that, I mean, from the way it sounds in the show, none of the 16 races in the Exceed understand. They just kind of continued life as normal, never, like, they would wage wars with games and everything, and nothing would ever accumulate anywhere, so it was interesting. But then, I don't know. It's hard to say much about Tet without bringing up the plot, because Tet shows up for about, maybe, at most, 10 minutes in the whole 12 episodes of the anime. That's it. And most of that is at the beginning when he's explaining the world to Sora and Shiro, just like, hey, this is what this is. And he's literally just a kid. Like, this god is a child. And he's, all he wants to do is have fun and stuff, but he's also incredibly smart, as you would assume a god would be, because I'm sure, and I say I'm sure because I know for a fact that he is much older than any human or anything. He's older than, I assume at least, he's much older than a lot of the Flugel, who are said to have incredibly long lifespans and everything, so he is a god. That's just how that works, but it's ridiculous. Anyways, I don't know, next character, how about we go over Steph? Stephanie Dola, who is kind of the comedic relief in the show, but she's also incredibly important for things, because she's the granddaughter of the previous king of Elkia, which is the, the Nation for Humanity, which is the Discord term for humanity, and she didn't inherit the throne. Again, this will come when we talk about plot, but she didn't inherit the throne because her grandfather, the foolish king, wanted it to be decided by who's the best gambler, basically, like who was the best at games and everything, and Stephanie is not good at them. She does not understand the way the games work that well or anything. Like, even compared to people like, normal people, she's a bit worse off than them, but she is pretty good at, like, diplomatic things where she needs to be. The show does say that she's actually, like, really smart, she just can't grasp how the games work, really. Uh, I don't know, it's a interesting thing. Again, most of this is all just plot rather than like Boku no Hero Academia, where you can talk about characters the whole time. When I start talking about plot, that's when everything's gonna get longer. I don't know what. I'm trying to think of who else I should mention in here. I should mention Jabril, who is a Flugel. The Flugel are a race who were made to take on the gods, and they once war was outlawed in Disboard under the Ten Covenants, they became a race who valued knowledge, uh, and Jabril got hold of Elkia's library, and Sora and Shiro won it back, and the whole thing behind Jabril is that, as you assume all Flugel do, she like freaks out over any chance to learn anything. But then she's also perverted, so it's interesting. Like, she's incredibly perverted at times, which again kind of comedic relief in the show, but I mean it is funny. Like, it's great. See, this show, little tangent, this show understands how to make perverted things actually comedical, unlike Boku no Hero Academia, which has Mineta, and they're like, this should be funny, and then it's just bad and cringy and fucking annoying. And then you watch this and you're like, so this is how this should have went. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, Jabril, most of her characters just, she's slightly perverted and she really likes knowledge, which also means she knows a lot of stuff. And that helps Sora and Shiro a lot, because she's had this giant library to herself for who knows how many years at this point, and she knows like all of the shit about the world. She knows so much stuff, and yeah, it helps Sora and Shiro out a lot. Let me think. Who else would be an effective character to talk about? I don't know. In terms of main characters, that's honestly it. Uh, you do have Clammy Zell, who is just, she's a Manichean, or a human, and she was raised as a slave under the elves, but her elf friend, Fiel, uh, like, she's the slave to her technically, but Fiel hates that they're slaves, and she's just friends with Clammy, but Clammy tried to get a hold of Humanity to protect it under the, or to get it under the protection of the elves before Sora and Shiro came in and went, no. They literally just came in and went, no, this is ours now, fuck you. But that's about how that goes. Also, sorry, I feel like I sound like I'm really out of breath, and I don't know why. Like, I am actually kind of out of breath, and I have no fucking idea why. But yeah, I'm gonna take a drink of water real quick. I don't know what my problem's been today. I've been like shaky and shit, but who knows? Anyways, yeah, then you have Fieru, who is an elf. Well, an elf, not an elf. It's elf and elves. But yeah, she's an elf and she works with Clammy, and she uses her magic in a lot of the games that Clammy plays, and by a lot of them I mean all of them. But then at some point, again, most of this is all in the plot, at some point she ends up talking about how, or not talking about, she ends up on Sora and Shiro's side. So yeah, can you not? Sorry, my nephew's here and he's playing shit on the PS4 and it's making a lot of noise. But, yeah, I don't know. The only other one who might be useful to talk about would be Izuna, who is the, like, final person that they technically face of any real value to the show before they end it. But, I don't know, she's not necessarily, like, this main character. There's not much to her except that she's a kid who's a representative for the werebeasts, and that's about it. So, yeah, character-wise, show is a bit sparse, but the plot is where everything comes in, dude. Again, this show, complete 180 of how Boku no Hero Academia is. That's all characters, some plot. This is some characters, all plot. Because now I can talk about, like, exactly how everything works out and how these abilities that everyone has are put to use and everything. And specifically why I say that Sora and Shiro are gods among men. So when the show starts out, you meet Sora and Shiro as these neeks who have created this legend of the blank, and they're just unbeatable people who are way too fucking good at video games. Literally, at some point, Sora is playing a game as 4 characters all at once, using both of his hands and both of his feet through fucking anime logic, man. Like, it's ridiculous, but usually they each control, like, 2, I guess, but Shiro ended up going to bed. Yeah. Wholly random way to start, but, you know, the point is that it shows that they're really fucking good at games. And then Tet comes in, and you don't know it's Tet at first, but you talk, they get an email, and it says, "Have you ever felt like you were born into the wrong world?" And, I don't know, I guess, even though it didn't show it, they were like, how did, Sora and Shiro were like, how do they know that the blank is, 2 people? How do they know that we're siblings and everything? And, Tet just keeps sending stuff, and eventually, Sora replies with, or what is it? Tet goes, "What if there was a world where everything was ruled by games?" And Sora just sent, "If that was true, then we really were born into the wrong world." And instantly, it changes real quick. The computer screen, like, pulls up a game of chess, and Sora instantly just lets Shiro deal with it, because Shiro is so, like, she's a god at chess, basically, and the way that works is she's beaten computer programs at chess that have defeated grandmasters in chess. That's how good she is at it, and now she's playing a god at chess. Literally a god. And, she wins. It actually ends up being something that both Sora and Shiro, like, work together on to win, because, you know, he's a god. It's not that easy to defeat him, but they do, because, again, gods among men. But, after they defeat him, Tet drags them into Discord, and, in very anime-ish fashion, they're just free-falling out of the sky with this childish god talking to them about how this world works, and they're just like, what the fuck? Like, I like the way this game approaches, or this game, god damn it, this show approaches, like, the fantasy world idea, because they're just like, what the fuck, you know? Like, what is going on? And then they get there, and they're like, oh, okay, we understand it well enough now. Of course, it's not a hard world to understand. There are 10 covenants, which are basically uh, the 10 laws of this world, and I don't know. I don't remember all 10 of them per se. I know most of it comes down to no violence, wars, anything, no killing, no robbing, none of that. Everything has to be resolved through games. Uh, Everything that is decided in the rules and everything is like law basically. You whatever outcome happens. You can't dispute it. Whoever wins. Whatever they win, they win. Uh, if you're caught cheating, you lose. I'm trying to remember what all of them are. If you're caught cheating, you lose. Anything bet has to be of agreed equal value, basically. So, like, people have to agree that whatever they're betting is okay to bet with and against the other thing, right? So, like, Sora and Shiro, when they get into the world, bet their whole lives. And, for, like, stupid shit. The one is all of the clothes on a bunch of thieves who challenge them to a game to try to win. And, they bet their whole selves for all of their stuff. I mean, they agreed it was of equal value, so it was okay. But then, they did the same thing for a single pouch of gold coins. Like, that was it. And they were just like, okay, cool. Sometimes it works out in interesting ways because it's still a world where strategy and stuff comes into play, but that comes in later, mostly with the werebeasts. But yeah, it's all stuff like that. And then, that's about it for the actual rules of the world. And then the 10th rule, which I remember very well, is everyone must have... what's the correct wording? It says, let's all have fun playing, is the exact wording it uses. And, it's just a rule that is there, and at the end, Sora and Shiro, like, pick up on why it's there. I mean, I guess the idea is they picked up on it instantly, but then they say it later because everyone's like, why are you taking on God? Like, why is it your ambition to take on God? And they were like, because it's a fucking game. That's basically it. But, anyways, once they get into the world, they, fight the thieves, or battle the thieves in a game, get their clothes, battle this girl, get some information out of her while they're, playing a game, and get a bunch of money. And then that's how they learn about this, poker tournament for the throne of Elkia. And they watch Clammy and Stephanie fight, have a game of poker. I say fight, they were technically fighting. That's the point of the games. The games replace fighting, but they're playing around a poker. It's a tournament type of thing, except it's not necessarily a tournament in a way. It's more just, fight me if you want, if you don't, sucks, I win. And if you do, and you're not aware of how Clammy is cheating, she wins. That's what happened for Steph. Sora and Shiro, Shiro noticed, and then Sora pointed it out to, Stephanie that Clammy was cheating through magic, and, Stephanie just, like, freaked out on him after, she met them, like, officially a bit later. She was like, why didn't you stop it? Why didn't you tell them, why didn't you point out that they were cheating? And he was just like, 'cause I didn't. But, yeah, so they see that go down, Clammy wins. Most of that whole scene, like that whole thing, is just that they know that Clammy has an elf using magic for her. So they need to be careful in how they approach this, right? And, so it goes on, and then Stephanie goes into their room and is like, what the fuck? Why didn't you just say that they were cheating? Why didn't you tell anyone? Why didn't you make it known so that she would have won? And he was, I don't know, he just kind of brushed it off. He was like, not my problem kind of thing, right? And eventually it ends up where Stephanie and Sora start a game of rock, paper, scissors where Sora is... What is it? Well, Sora originally wants, like a place to stay, right? Because they're at an inn. They bought a room for 4 nights off of one of the coins in that bag they got from the other girl. Most of it's just like, okay, we need, like, an actual permanent place to stay, right? We have what I assume to be a fair bit of money, but, it's limited. We have to actually get somewhere reliable to stay and get some food and everything. So he takes on Stephanie in the most interesting game of rock, paper, scissors ever known to man, which is that if Sora throws anything but paper, he loses unless whatever he throws results in a win to where Stephanie would lose too, then it's a draw. But, if he threw, like, say, rock and she threw rock, he would lose, even though in a normal game that's just a, like, okay, that's a draw, go again type of thing. So he set it up in a very specific way, and this comes into how Sora is so good at reading people and so good at, like, manipulating situations and people and everything. He set it up so that he couldn't really lose what he wanted. All he wanted was, what was it? It was like, it somehow worked out rule-wise that they drew, I think, and, Steph was just like, oh, so you just want a place to stay, and Sora never answered, and what he did was, he ended up saying, fall in love with me, as the, request that he, if it was a draw, he'd ask for a little favor, and he would give Steph a hint as to how Clammy was cheating. He wouldn't completely tell her, because what Steph wanted was, if I win, tell me how she was cheating and everything. And if he won, it was something or other. I think it was just like, you'll give us a place to stay. But then if they drew, if the game resulted in a draw, it was, he'd give a hint as to how Clammy was cheating against Steph, and Steph would do him a favor. Well, the favor he ended up asking of Steph was fall in love with me, because it was this whole thing about how, like, Steph was trying to analyze everything and be, like, she analyzed all of her chances and figured that throwing, rock was the best chance to result in something working. Or no, it wasn't rock, it was, what was it? Scissors? Yeah, it was scissors, I think, and then Sora threw rock, because, he just wanted the draw to get a small favor, right? And, yeah, it was this whole thing about, like, she tried to analyze it really well, but Sora already knew everything she was going to analyze, and then went against it, because he analyzed all the chances himself for her to win, and just went, well, she'll definitely throw scissors, and then he just went, throwing rock, get the draw, So, that's what happens in a lot of these games, where Sora and Shiro plan so far ahead, like, things are set in motion with them way farther ahead than anyone they're facing ever could, like, think about, especially when you get to the werebeasts. It's fucking amazing. But, he fights her, he gets the place to stay, by getting the draw and asking the favor of fall in love with me, which works out in an odd way where he didn't say stay in love with me, it was just fall in love with me, and she did, and everything worked out, and she ends up loving him anyway, because anime. But yeah, uh, he also sorta like for Stephanie, who was the granddaughter of the foolish king of Elkia, the one who gambled even though he knew he'd lose. Like, he gambled all this shit. He lost a bunch of land, specifically to the werebeasts. He lost all of the stuff to everyone, and, everyone just calls him the Foolish King because he sucked at, like, winning games that he would start, and, sorta understood why. Sometimes he would be like, well, you fucked up, and Steph got, like, sad and angry at him, but then he would look at things from another light, and it would be like, oh no, he was actually doing something real smart, because everyone looks down on humanity. Kind of, the reason that Sora and Shiro, like, can win so well is because everyone looks down on humanity, including humanity. And Sora and Shiro, they look down on him too. They're like, we suck, right? But they also know that, yes, they suck as a race. But, they have potential as a race, too. And they all believe in that potential. And for Stephanie, that's something, like, amazing, because that's what her grandfather said all the time, like, the potential of humanity is what'll save them, basically. So, I feel like she ends up falling in love with Sora because of that, like, throughout the actual anime, but anyways, wholly random part of the plot that doesn't matter that much, honestly. Anyway, so they get this place to stay and everything, and they learn about the world. Sora and Shiro learn about the world from Steph and from the books in the castle and everything. Hold on. So, do you hear my problem? Yeah. Yeah, sorry. Again, nephew's in here. I told him don't have those up to where I can hear them, and I can hear them. So, yeah, yeah, real nice. I'm going to kick you out of here if they're keep getting that loud. God. Okay. Sorry, guys. Getting sidetracked. I usually like the past 2 times he's been here, but he's been out of the room. But my mom might have. It's a fucking mess. Anyway, continuing on. Yeah, so they find out all this stuff about the world and, like, how it all works and everything, and they decide that they're going to get the crown for, Elkia, right? Like, they're going to become the rulers of Elkia, and they go to take on Clammy, and this is the first of, essentially, the 4 main games in the show. Yeah, that's about it. There's about 4 games that truly, like, matter in the show, and, the first one against Clammy is one of them, because it sets up the fact that they are really good at what they're doing, and they can win against people, specifically against Elvish magic, which is a feat, because humanity cannot even tell if magic's being used, except that Sora and Shiro can, just based off of how things normally work, because they use logic, unlike the rest of humanity. But, anyways, the way it works is they challenge Clammy, and they, point out that she has, Fieru. They don't know her name yet, but they point out that she has an elf working for her, and Clammy just goes, you know what, whatever, fine, leave. She tries to spin it back as to how, like, the way it works is Sora and Shiro go, what if she was working with the elves to take over this country for them, right? And, Shiro goes over and pulls the hood off of Fieru and points out that she's an elf, and everyone's like, oh god, and then Clammy tries to go, oh, look at you colluding with an elf to, make it seem like that, and she was just like, fine, leave, and Fieru like dashed off. And what is it? Sora was like, well, now that that's done and over with, choose a game, right? And she goes, fine. Instead of doing like poker or something, we'll play a game. Well, she says we'll create a game. What the game ends up being is chess, except it's not anything like normal chess. It's actually controlling a battlefield. Um, things like the chess pieces move based on the what's the word? Like it basically moves based off of the ability to command that the person playing has. But Clammy uses Fieru's magic to always make them move for her, right? Like there's never a time when they aren't working for her. And you know, you would think that would put Sora and Shiro at a like significant disadvantage, except these pieces have will. They have like a mind and everything. So Shiro, the god of chess, is sitting there trying to play this out, except that Clammy is playing based off of how she knows the game works, and she'll just say like e4 or e2 advance, and instead of the pawn moving 2 off of its starting space like it normally can in chess, it moves 3 or 4, and they're all just like, what? And then Sora goes, oh, that's the type of game we're playing. And Shiro keeps going through, and she's like getting put on the ropes, and then Sora comes in and just goes, I got this, you know? And instantly, it is literally, as soon as he gets up there, he gives a speech to the, they're playing as the white, like the white side in chess, and, he just gives a speech to his whole side, and instantly boosts the morale, boosts what all they want to do, and starts pushing Clammy back, and Clammy's just like, what the fuck, you know? When do I get a turn and everything? And he's like, this isn't a game of chess, this is a war. You don't give your enemy a time to attack, you just go. So she, like, kind of freaks out in desperation real quick, and then starts using Fieru's magic to brainwash the pieces as they touch hers. So, like, a pawn would go to hit a pawn of, like, one of Sora's pawns would go to hit one of Clammy's pawns, but then it would become a black pawn instead of a white pawn. It would be brought over to her side. And it looks like they're about to lose. Clammy's queen is about to decapitate the king of Sora's king, the head of Sora. What am I saying? I don't know. You get what I mean. Anyways, Sora, like, literally goes onto the field and stops her, and then pleads to her for her beauty and for the fact that she's being controlled by this cowardly king who's sitting in the back just telling his men to move forward and, like, attack, and he sits there protected, you know, never putting himself in the danger, and he gets the queen onto his side, and then he gets a couple of the other black pieces onto his side. But what he does is he actually stages a revolt against Clammy's side. So it introduces a third party. So they have Clammy's side, Sora's side, and then they have this new red side which is made up of Clammy's pieces that have turned against her. Yeah, it's interesting. So they basically create a revolt against Clammy, but then Clammy starts to, you know, she gets backed into this corner, is what they say. Like, they pushed her too far into a corner, and Sora was just like, I know, you know? Like, he's aware that things aren't going well at the moment. And then it changes a bit where, like, they're starting to get pushed back again. The new red team that's revolting, and Sora's team, Clammy's just advancing as this impenetrable wall now, and, Sora's like, no, it's fine, you know, because, and it's instant, he says that it's basically a law of the universe that if someone rules solely by fear, they'll end up assassinated by someone outside the military, and her king just dies, right? Like, she's been ruling this group, like, she's been ruling her side by fear, and then someone just kills the king, as you see throughout history, where people try to rule by fear and by being, like, a tyrant, and they get killed. And he says it's basically a law of the universe at this point, so they win through that. And it's all just mind games, that whole chess match. It's ridiculous. I also definitely just rambled about shit for about 10 minutes, and I have no idea what I just said. But, long story short, they play a game of chess where the chess are living beings that are being controlled by Clammy and Sora and Shiro working as one team. And Sora and Shiro win by using the fact that ruling by fear eventually leads to your own death from inside. And that's how that whole thing goes. But then, they win, and they're being crowned to be the new ruler of Elkia, and the guy who's crowning them is like, okay, who's going to rule, right? He's like, there can only be one ruler. And then so Sora and Shiro start having, like, game battles to see who could win. And, no one could win because they would always win, like, back and forth, and the rule was that they had to win twice in a row. Which for them would actually be luck. Where most people would just get destroyed instantly. Those two know each other so well and know these games so well, they keep going back and forth and everything. What was the score? It was like 158 to 158, and they were on the 159th match. It had been 3 days, and they were, like, dying there. And then Shiro goes, hey, wait, what does this covenant say? And it says, what is it? I don't know, something along the lines of, like, the place being ruled by, or like, fights between kingdoms being done by representatives, with an S, of the kingdom. And he was like, it literally doesn't say there has to be one. So they both ended up being rulers, which was wholly random, but also kind of cool. It's that whole, like, read the wording correctly, where things are worded in odd ways, and I guess they just decided, well, you can only have one ruler, and they were like, no, you can definitely have more than one. It doesn't need to be one. And then, they become king and queen of Elkia. They give this grand speech to all of the Amanitians. They're like, look, we are the weak, but the weak are the ones who will prevail, because the strong sit there. What was it? It was something along the lines of, while the strong sit and sharpen their fangs, the weak sit and sharpen their wit. Where the ones who may have all this brute force and everything don't have the strategy to deal with everything in an unexpected way, to deal with things in ways that they wouldn't expect. Definitely said the same thing twice in two different wordings, but that's most of that speech anyway. It's basically, look, we are the weak, but the weak are the ones who prevail because we are the smart. And that's, like, the whole gist of this, like, 5-10 minute long speech that he gives. Which, I mean, it is a good speech for him. It gets all of the Amanitians on their side and everything, and he's like, we are the weak, but we are the strong because we are the weak. It is because we are weak that we can recognize the strength of others and deal with it. It is because we are the weak that we can overcome the challenges. It is because we are the weak, born with nothing, that we can become anything. And, like, it's it's a rather powerful little speech. And, they start this rule over the kingdom with everyone on their side and everything, and, it's going pretty well. Doing pretty good for them. I'm trying to think of exactly what happens after that speech. I know it goes on, like, they give the speech, and then they start talking, like, it starts going into actual problems in Elkia where it's like, oh, the farms are being like the farms aren't great right now and they introduce crop rotation and it's like, okay, cool, I don't know, a bunch of different things happen that like they haven't been able to solve, and then Sora and Shiro take their knowledge from their world where all of these problems have already been solved and fix all of the problems that they're having like instantly, and everyone's just like, huh, how do you even manage that? And they fix all that. That was my nephew leaving the room, thank fucking god. Sorry if you heard a bunch of shit. I told him don't have that so fucking loud. But anyway, yeah, so they solve all these problems and everyone's just like, oh, nice. But then that's all just like a passing plot point where it's like, yeah, we know how to fix problems. We have all this knowledge from our other world. We know what we're doing. But the problem is they don't have knowledge of the world that they're in. They have some knowledge about it, but then all of their knowledge is about their old world. They don't understand all of this world yet. They don't understand how everything works, how quite like they have an idea of everything, but he's like, look, we need books, right? We need to be able to take on these people because in that speech, this is a very important thing in that speech I forgot to mention. He wages war on everyone, on all of the people, because they want to take on God. And at some point, it ends up being established that in order for them to take on Tet, they have to defeat all 16 races of the Exceed. He has a manatee. There's 15 others he has to get on his side, right? And he finds out that there are the werebeasts, who are basically a bunch of animal people. And, in natural, stereotypical Japanese perverted dude fashion, he's like, oh my god, animal ears, yes! Which, I mean, I could agree on, but, like, he basically just goes, we are getting this fucking territory, right? And that's what he sets his sights on, but then he goes, we know nothing about them. And we don't have anything to know anything about them. He goes, we need resources, we need books, we need history, we need we need to learn about this place. And, that brings them to the library in Elkia that, Jabril won. Jabril's a Flugel. Again, those are race in the Exceed who are like they were made to kill the gods. That is their purpose. They are war machines. They are incredibly powerful. But now that they can't fight, they rely on getting all of the knowledge possible. All they want is knowledge now, where knowledge actually succeeds in making everything making you succeed at these games, basically. Knowledge is the key to success. And, Sora and Shiro go, well, we're gonna go get the fucking library back because we need those books, right? And thus begins the second important battle in the whole show. Again, there's about 4, truly important battles. One's less important than the other 3, but, I mean, it's still kind of important. But this starts the second important battle, which is getting this library back, and also, because of the way that everything works, getting Jabril on their side. And, yeah, it's interesting. So, I forget the name of the game they play, but we'll get to that in a minute. They go in and, they meet Jabril, and Jabril's like, why are you here? Sora, Shiro, the new rulers of this place, why are you here? And he goes, well, let's just cut to the point. I want this library back. And she goes, well, I mean, the knowledge is the equivalent of my life. So what do you wager against that? And he was like, 40,000 books from a parallel universe. And she went, bullshit, basically. She was like, you can't possibly be from another world. You can't be from this other universe because while there is summoning magic, it requires a lot of power to keep you there. Keep in mind, they were summoned there by God. The one true God, Tet. Yes, he has the power to keep them there. Which, this is one of those things that, like, they say in passing, kind of, and they don't really point out the fact that it's fucking God. He has all of this power. He's keeping these people here. Jabril literally goes, yes, you could summon someone from another dimension, but it would require an incredible amount of power to keep them there that even the old Deus, which are the old gods, would have trouble with. And, then he shows her he has, like, an iPad, and he shows her this list of books and everything, and shows her that it's a language she's never seen, she's never heard of, and she ends up, like, checking, Sora's body in a physical. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. He literally makes Jabril orgasm from touching her fucking wings. Yep. That's a thing that happens in that show. Anyways, so it all comes down to it, and she's like, oh, you're an unknown. What the fuck are you? You are from this other world. And then she goes, alright, but since you're offering me that much stuff, I will offer you, instead of just offering the library, she goes, I will offer you the entirety of me. Like, her as a person, she would, in a way, become a slave to them. Not exactly how they treat her most of the time. But anyways, that's what ends up being the wager, and they go into this game, and the game is, I know what it's called in Japanese, Shiritori, which is, I honestly don't know the name of the game in English. I've played it a couple of times at school. I don't remember the name of it, but, it's, what do they call it? It's Shiritori, where whatever you say becomes, comes into the world, or comes out of the world, or whatever. And, it's a game that, again, I don't remember the English name, but what it is, like, someone says a word, and you say something that ends, in the Japanese case, it's with whatever syllable, because, it's a syllabic alphabet, where it's, like, ka, ki, ku, ke, ko, tachi, tsu, te, to, instead of, like, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But in English, it's like, if I said Ohio and then someone said Oklahoma, because Ohio ended with an O and Oklahoma starts with an O, same thing, except it's with a syllable, so if something ends with the syllable ku, the next word said has to start with the syllable ku. Yeah, and I really can't remember the exact name for it, but whatever they say has to come, it either appears in the world or disappears from the world, just depending, right? So, they go through this game, and the first thing, she's like, if you die, now, everything would get set back once the game's over, but you could die in the game, and then once it was over, you'd be brought back to life. And she was like, if you die, game's over, because you obviously can't do anything then. So, it was actually a rather interesting game to watch. I have no idea if the science behind it is accurate, but if it is, damn, I just got a crash course in, like, astrology and physics all in one, dude. Fucking amazing. I somehow doubt that it was that accurate, but who knows? Maybe someone in the comments could tell me. Anyways, so they're playing this game, and, it all becomes a mind game that Sora sets out from the beginning, and one of the things he does, the first thing he summons, because Jabril goes, you can say the first word, right? And he says, I think it's Suigen? Is that the right word? I don't know. He summons in a fucking, nuclear bomb. I think it's an atom bomb, technically. Or, no, a hydrogen bomb, that's it. A hydrogen bomb. And I think the word was Suigen. I'm not positive. I watched it in Japanese. we'll get to the talk about subbed and dubbed after the plot, because, ooh, this is not a good dub. Anyway, so he summons in this hydrogen bomb, and she summons in something to protect him because she doesn't want the game to end that quick. That's fucking dumb, you know? But what Sora was doing was he was checking to see if something she didn't know about could be summoned into this world. So what he did was, that was the beginning of his plan, because if that worked, he could say things from Japanese that she wouldn't know what it was, but it was something, like, real. So, the way that he won this game, I'll do a quick little rundown of, like, what exactly happened, because there are main parts that happen, and then there were random things that went on, A, because fan service, B, because he didn't want her catching on to what he was doing. So, I think the first thing was the hydrogen bomb. She summoned a barrier to protect him, and then he said, spirit circuits, which are what allow, the Flugel to fly and everything, and allow them to use their magic in a way, and, he took that from her, which is a very important thing, because as the game progresses, he takes away, like, parts of the earth. He takes away the mantle, he takes away the crust, he takes away, like, all this stuff. And eventually, it's just the core, which I think is when he takes away the mantle, or the crust. It might be the crust. I think he may have taken away the mantle first, and then the crust. But, they, like, run off and they jump as far as they can, like, away from Jabril, because all that's left now is the core, and then they keep going and they take away the oxygen. She puts back in the air, which ends up only being oxygen and becomes poisonous, and then they take away the atmosphere, which no one can talk anymore, and the greatest thing is, Jabril is a Flugel. She can use magic, and she writes out a word in magic, and, you know, Sora and Shiro are like, oh fuck, you know, except that they, at some point throughout it, Sora wrote the word ignorance, and showed it to Jabril, but on the back of it, he wrote another word. I don't remember what that word was, but it was the last word of the game, because Jabril was so close to the core, like, oh, he summoned, it was a word that would get rid of something and cause essentially a Big Bang, and the idea was kill Jabril in the game to win, right? And he did, with whatever word it was, and, you know, they ended up winning, but I mean, it's hard to explain in words, but it was a fucking amazing thing to watch, because it would be like, you know, he had this so well planned. He knew exactly what he wanted to do and exactly how to do it. Again, Sora is essentially a god of understanding people and predicting how they will think and what they will do. It was ridiculous, and he defeated the Flugel. He defeated Jabril in her own game, which is solely based off of knowledge, which is what Jabril, like, thrives on. That's what the Flugel thrive on, and he won. By strategy and knowledge, and she was like, well, fuck, you know? But, no, she was happy with it, because she became the servant of them, I guess. Like, she calls him master and everything. They treat her as a friend for the most part, though sometimes when she gets a little bit too out of hand and perverted, Shiro will just be like, down. Or, what is it? She'll say something, and then, like, Jabril will just stop, and she'll be like, god damn it. But, anyways, yeah, so they get the library, and they start doing research and everything, and, let's see. I'm gonna skip a few things, because there's some more insignificant stuff that happens, one of them being, like, they're walking around town with Steph. I'll mention it real quick, because it's adorable seeing Steph in with dog ears and a dog tail. She's fucking cute, but, anyway, they're sitting there talking about stuff, and they're playing games and everything, and it ends up being, this is actually before they fight Jabril, so I already skipped it, but, Steph becomes their pet dog for the day, and then, like, It's just comedy. It's comedic and hilarious. She becomes their pet dog for a day, and Shiro will just be like, sit, Steph, and she'll like have to act like a dog, or she'll be like, Steph, beg, and Steph will sit there like jumping up and begging for things while she's trying to have a proper conversation with them, and she's just like, God damn it. Yeah, it's adorable. Not really important to the story at all, but it's adorable. Um, so that happens, but then after they defeat Jabril in the game and everything, they start researching on these werebeasts. But one of the things that Jabril shows them is that these werebeasts have a embassy in Elkia, and Sora's just like, so why is that here? And she was like, oh, the foolish king just kind of fucked it. He challenged the werebeasts 8 times and lost. And this is something, it's not a game in the sense of like, they're fighting someone in the game, like with Clammy the first time, or Jabril the second time, or whatever. But it is a game in a way that happens. What it ends up being is like, they're sitting there trying to figure out how to defeat the werebeasts who haven't been defeated before. And he's like, and Sora is sitting there going, why did the previous king, challenge them 8 times? And he was like, that's fucking ridiculous. And then Steph kind of starts crying, and she's like, insult me all you want, but don't insult my grandfather, because she, like, respected her grandfather and loved him and everything. And, Sora's just sitting there like, he was a fucking idiot at the moment, because he didn't quite see the connection yet as to why he kept battling them, why he kept challenging them to a game and losing. And then he looked at it after he made Steph cry, and he felt bad. And he looked at it and went, oh, this king only lost land that didn't matter to him. Hold on. I have people knocking on my door.
Go say hi to everyone real quick?
No, I'm in recording a thing. Tell them I'll be up later. Anyways, sorry, people knocking. Again, I'm treating this like a stream. I'm not changing anything. I want to keep it in that same type of format, so don't mind me. Also, we're an hour and 12 minutes in, and I'm not recording this again because I need to fucking upload it. Anyways, what was I saying? Yeah, so Sora's just sitting there like, after he makes Steph crying, he feels bad about it. He looks at it again and goes, oh, the previous king only lost land that wasn't important to Elkia, that wasn't, like, necessarily needed for humanity. It had shit that they couldn't use, that they didn't, like, need. Yeah, they were losing land, but it wasn't, like, they weren't losing precious resources or anything. And he was like, huh, I bet because the king was an Amanitan, that the werebeasts let him keep his knowledge, because at some point Jabril was like, yeah, I challenged them to a game at one point, once or twice, and she was like, one of the things that they make part of the rules is you can't remember anything about the game if you lose. And Sora realizes, like, I bet you that those 8 times he fought them, or challenged them, he was actually gathering knowledge. Please stop knocking on the door, I'm recording something. Thank you. God. Thought that was Blake again. Sorry, Mom. Fucking people, man. I tell them I'm recording shit, and then they just come in and they're like, knock, knock. Again, recording shit. Thank you. Anyways, yeah, so he's sitting there, and he's like, I bet because he was an Amanitian, and he was so easy to win against, that they let him keep his memories. And, it ended up being a loophole where they let him keep his memories, but the king said, the king couldn't tell anyone about it as long as he lived. The old king is dead now, as of them figuring all this out. He's been dead for a little while. And, the old king gave gave Steph this key, and she didn't know what it was for exactly, but the old king was like, give this to someone who you believe can save humanity. And she gave it to them after realizing that even though Sora was bashing on her grandfather a lot, and she really didn't think he was worthy of it, she heard him talking to Jabril about this, like, you know, he maybe he wasn't as bad as I thought he was a little bit ago. Like, he had a plan. He probably figured this all out, and Steph was like, okay, here's this key that he gave me. Here you go. And instantly they were like, hey, here's his porn stash. Which, again, there's a little joke in there at some point where the king and Steph, the old king and Steph are talking, and he shows her the key that he gave her, and Steph was like, oh, is that a key for where you keep the things that guys keep separate from everything's like, no, that's in a different room. Anyways, me saying that one this time, wholly random thing, just kind of funny and stupid, but funny. Anyways, yeah, she gives this key to him, and Sora and Shiro are like, oh, we already know where the room is. We found it in the room that they were staying in because they're the rulers now. They, like, are part of they live in the old king's room. And they'd explored and everything, and they already found this place, and they opened it with the key. And sure fucking enough, he'd written down about the game that the werebeasts play, where the werebeasts play, the werebeasts are, like, incredibly smart, and they're technologically advanced. They actually have computers, and they have, like, actual technology, TVs, elevators, all that type of shit. And, well, the rest of the world is very medieval fantasy world type of thing. They are the technologically advanced. They know how to use all this stuff. They have all this stuff. And, because the old king said he could, because the agreement was the old king couldn't tell anything to anyone about the game for as long as he lived, he wrote it into a book that couldn't be found until he was dead, so he could tell them. And, this is where the game that isn't a game comes in. It's not one of the 4 games, like the 4 main games that I've talked about before. What ends up happening is they read this book, they figure out a bit about the werebeasts and everything, and then Sora and Shiro and Jabril and Steph go with them too, but they go to the embassy of the werebeasts, and, they go in, and, you know, they're sitting there doing stuff, talking about diplomacy and things, and politics, yeah. Anyways, at some point, Sora switches his tactic and, like, starts actually being serious about shit. And he goes, look, one of the things that people say is that the werebeasts can read people's minds because of their 6th sense, right? And, Sora basically goes, well, time to figure out if he can or not. In his mind, he does that for the most part, and he gives a little bluff, right? Like, he says something, but it's not what he's thinking. Now, he's not lying when he says it, and this is how he learns that they can't read minds, but they can tell if you're lying. What he does is he goes, Izuna, who's, like, she's a little fox child. She's adorable, as all lolly fox childs are. Anyways, all lolly fox children. There we go. But, he's like, you know, how about we do a wager where it's Izuna's panties for, Steph's panties? And the old man's like, you know, quit fooling around, you idiot. And then Sora instantly switches and goes, good. You can't read minds, because if you could, you would have taken that deal. And he, like, the old man kind of goes, what? You know, like, he stops for a minute, because he saw that Sora wasn't kidding, you know? He was like, huh? I think what actually ends up happening when he notices that is that Sora is starting to be like, you know, he's starting to encroach in on the werebeasts. Like, look, we know your shit. We know what you're up to. We know how to win. We know what you're doing. We know your game. We know we can beat you at your game. And, it goes through, and it's this whole little mind game of, like, well, how did we figure it out? And they go through about how all they figured it out because the elves tried to beat the werebeasts, and they couldn't win. The Flugel tried, they couldn't win. Humanity tried, of course they couldn't win. And it was like, well, how does that all work? And then most of it was like, why did the elves try 4 times to beat them and always lost? And they were like, well, they have all this land to spare, it doesn't matter. They probably wanted to figure out what the game was by kind of a guess and check measure, right? And then they were like, well, why did they stop after the 4th time? And what they decided was the elves figured out the game, but they couldn't figure out why they lost. So, Sora was like, look, we know what you're up to. We know we can win. Fuck you, basically. And, he bets humanity's race piece, which means, like, all of their rights and everything, like, all of the shit that makes them people and not animals, he bet that. And, all he wanted was some land. And, he backed these people, he backed the werebeasts into a corner where he was like, I know your shit, and if you decline, like, that means that Sora's right, and he could just go tell that to the elves or something, and, like, they'll come and defeat him, right? So, he goes, well, we'll deal with it later. He sets it up so that, the game will come later, and that's the 4th game, even though it should have been the 3rd, by the way it looked, it ends up being the 4th important game of the series, because after this whole thing of him talking to her, I definitely, like, muddied the details a lot there, but basically it just becomes a mind game of figure out if the werebeasts can read minds. No, they can't? Good. Back them into a corner and make them fight to give up the land, because we know we can win because they're playing fucking video games, and in our old world, we were the god of them. And, yeah, so they all go back to, Elkia, like, well, Sora, Shiro, Jabril, and, Steph all go back to Elkia, and they're sitting there, and, all of the people, because Sora just bet their fucking race piece, are freaking out. They're, like, outside of the castle, like, what the fuck, like, kind of having a little riot. It's like the whole kingdom of Elkia is out there just screaming at them. And, they're like, well, what should we do? Well, Clammy is still convinced that, Sora and Shiro are backed by another, country, right? Like, they have support from someone, because how else could they beat an elf? And, this is where the 3rd important game comes in, and it's important solely because they get Clammy and, Fieru on their side, which is important in the game when we get to it at some point. I forgot, there's 5 important games, but one of them is literally a fucking coin toss in the last episode about 10 minutes before it ends. Anyways, we'll get to that in a few. So they have it goes through a couple of days where they're all like, well, what about shit and blah, blah, blah. And then it shows Sora going off to fight, to have a game with some unknown person. Like, they don't really say who it is, and I'll be honest, even though I've seen the anime before, it's been so long, I forgot who it was, and I was like, what's going on, I forgot what happened. Like, I forgot this part of it. I didn't remember what all happened and everything. So, it was confusing as fuck. And that's what they wanted. And what it was is, Sora went and started a game of, it wasn't shogi. It was, I don't know, some Japanese board game of some form. I don't remember the term for it. Because shogi's like Japanese chess, which, it wasn't shogi. It was, the thing where you have, like, a double-sided thing where one's black and one's white, and you put them down, and, if you put it down touching someone else's thing, that flips over and becomes your... Yeah. Someone knows the name of it. I don't remember it. I used to know the name of it, but now I forget. Anyways, it's a game of that, but the pieces are pieces of the each player's being. So you have Clammy and Sora, but their partners could play for them too. So like Fieru could play for Clammy, and Shiro could play for Sora if either Clammy or Sora was unable to continue. And what happened was Sora, like almost all of him, was completely erased. Like only Shiro remembered that Sora existed, and she was losing memory of him. Like she was starting to think that it was some fiction of her, some what is it? Like something out of her imagination, right? Like she was like, did he ever exist at all, type of thing. And they make it really confusing where they're like, what the fuck's going on? And then Shiro finds out, like Shiro goes, I need to remember what he was saying before he left, and she figured out that he went to get the help of an elf, and I don't know, she worked it out somehow. Honestly, I'm not even positive how all this worked out, but she worked it out somehow, and she had Jabril check for signs of magic in the room, and Jabril picked up on signs of magic in the room, and she was like, I can't tell from where though. And then Steph goes to walk down the stairs from the bed to the door and trips over the board that the game was being played on, though all you could see were Clammy's and Sora's remaining 3 pieces of the board. And Shiro was like, Shiro started to, like, she recognized the game, and she recognized probably what Sora did to set everything up, and she won by moving the 3 pieces and recognizing, like, what happened and how it all worked. And the way it worked was, Sora was like, each piece will represent a part of you that is important to you. They'll all have numbers on them, and, like, the first piece will be whatever's most important to you. The, 30-second piece, I think, is the one that's, important to you, but least important out of these 32 things. I think it was 32. And, they each had 3 pieces left, and Shiro looked at it and went, well, 3, because while Clammy might not have known hers, Sora knew what was important to him, and Shiro knew what was important to him. And, it was pieces 1, 2, and 3 that were left of Sora, and, Shiro picked up on what the game was and went, well, 3 is his ability to win games, and she put it down and cleared a bit of the board, got it to her color, which was white, set down piece 2, which was, I don't remember what piece 2 was, something. I honestly don't remember piece 2 perfectly, but puts down piece 2, gets some of the board, and then she goes, finally, piece 1 is the entirety of me being Shiro, and, because, these two are incredibly close, and she puts down piece 1 and wins the match, and then everything comes back, and, Sora gets up, and Clammy's still, like, in a daze. She has none of her memories left or anything. She's sitting there, literally, like, no life in her eyes, just a husk of a being sitting there. And, Sora, Fieru starts, like, freaking out because, she cares about Clammy a lot, and, Sora was, like, going through a couple of things, and he was just like, 1, I guess whoever won got to pick, like, 3 things to happen, right? And, 2 or 3. And the first one he said was, like, we get to keep a copy of each other's memories that we got. So Clammy and Sora each had both of their memories in their entirety, which helped Clammy to understand that Sora wasn't being backed by another person. He and Shiro are literally just that good at games, and this is why I say they're gods amongst men, which I'll explain momentarily after I explain the rest of this real quick. And basically he goes, okay, 2, I want to... Elf. He doesn't know her... Like, he knows her name, but he's like, Elf. Fee, I want to be able to control your memories, like alter them. And Fioru's like, what? No, you know, as you would expect someone to do. And then Clammy's like, no, it's fine. It'll be fine. She's like, all right, fine. So that happens, which sets up something for the werebeasts that we'll get into in a little. Jesus. I'm an hour and a half in. I'm the only one talking. I don't think I've shut up for more than 5 seconds this whole time. Huh. This is probably why I sound so out of breath. Anyways, again, there's a lot of plot in this anime, honestly. So this game happens, they now have memories. Clammy and Fioru are on their side. They go through some introductions, and it ends up working out that Clammy and Fioru are working as spies for Sora and Shiro, and oh god, so out of breath. You know, the time comes where they have to go face the werebeasts. So they do. They go into this place, and it's this VR, well, think Sayo, right? Like, you put that on and you're shoved into this game world that, like, is your whole being is in this world. Like VR on crack, right? And they go into it against Izuna. It's 4-on-1. Shiro, Jabril, Steph, and Sora against Izuna. Which, you know, seems fair, but Izuna is cheating in the game, obviously, as all of these games seem to go, where someone's cheating somehow, somewhere, except Sora and Shiro. Which, real quick, let me explain why I say they are gods amongst men, because we can tell that they obviously end up beating the werebeasts, which I'll explain how that goes in a few. They are beating people who are far above them in the Exceed. They are beating people who are, like, really fucking hard to beat at these games, because unlike every other Amanatian, they understand how to win these games. They understand how everything works. And as far as Amanatians go, they are the gods amongst men. Like, they are gods at gaming, while these people are just in this world with, like, little idea of how everything works, right? To them, it's all luck. To Sora and Shiro, it's, no, there is no such thing as luck. Everything can be done through a calculation, through a strategy, through manipulation, through deceiving, through guesswork and prediction based off of what you know, which is how they win the werebeast thing, too. They win based off prediction, because it's a game and everything like, all of the NPCs have to have a specified program path to walk and everything, and they're like, yeah, we understand this. We are... You were doomed as soon as it was a video game, basically. And it was like an FPS type of thing, right? I mean, in the anime it shows it as them running around shooting people, but for them it's an FPS. It's them, first person, with a gun, shooting. Anyways. So out of breath. Anyways, that's why I say they're gods amongst men. But let's get into this werebeast fight. Well, game battle thing. So they go into this, and they're fighting Izuna, and the way the game works is they have these love blasters, or love guns, or whatever they called it, and, the idea is the NPCs are walking around, you can shoot the NPCs, refill your love meter thing, and the main idea is that, Izuna can take over one of the people on the opposite team by shooting them with her love gun, and they'll become servants of Izuna. But if they hit Izuna, the game's over, because she's the only one on their team, right? So obviously, even though Izuna was cheating, not exactly in her favor, because she has to worry about 4 people, but she's a werebeast, and yeah, when we get to that, it'll make sense. But anyways, it goes through this game a bit. It shows a little bit of how it all works, and then it shows Shiro coming up to Izuna and just showing that Shiro is a god of FPSs. Well, Sora isn't bad at FPSs, right? Like, he can still hold his own in an FPS. Shiro is the one who set all the FPS records because she can process things so goddamn fast. And it's all about trajectory and everything, so she's fighting Izuna, and, you know, Izuna is so... used to just predicting things based off of the information she's. This is how she's cheating. She's getting information from the old guy outside of the game who's watching Sora and Shiro and all them, and telling, and he's sending it into the game telling Izuna where they are and everything, and she's so used to winning from that that when Shiro dodges, that catches her off guard because Shiro can, you know, process these things so quick that she can dodge in the like quarter of a second that she has, and Izuna's just like, oh fuck, you know, and they're going through this game, and you know they're backing Izuna up a bit, and then Izuna starts backing them up a lot. They backed Izuna up a bit. She pushed back and pushed him like 3 times as far back, but you know, gets into this game and they're like, okay, we need to sit down and have a strategy, and there's a lot of intricacies to it, one of them being that before the game, Steph still had never received an order from Sora during the time when, like, on the day that she became their pet dog for a day and everything, they were playing a bunch of games and she kept losing to Sora. Well, for one of them, Sora never, like, gave her a punishment for losing, right? And, he finally did, and it was, anything that Shiro writes, follow exactly, but don't remember it as soon as you read it. Like, she reads it, she starts following it, but she has no idea that she read it. She's just working on autopilot at that point. And, Shiro's sitting there writing stuff in the sand, figuring out exactly what they need to do. Steph reads it. Things go on and happen and everything. Izuna comes in and everything starts going haywire. She hits, Shiro, who actually just got hit in the clothes, which she then acted like she was under Izuna's control, even though she wasn't. Went up, got reacquainted with Sora. They came around. Eventually it ended up, here's how the game ended. I'm skipping a lot of details because there's a lot of shit that happens, like, right now, and we're an hour and 40 minutes in almost. And, yeah. Anyways, so this all happens, and eventually Sora and Shiro get back together. Again, Shiro wasn't under her control, actually. If you hit the clothes, it gets rid of the clothes, and it doesn't affect the person. So, what actually happened was, when Shiro pushed Sora out of the way of the bullet that, Izuna shot, she hit her panties, because fan service, bitch. But, no, you don't see anything. That's just what she hit. You see Shiro's ass. That's about it. Anyways, not the point. So that happens, and then it gets to the thing, but then Izuna actually does hit Sora and Shiro, and then Steph, based off of the things that Shiro wrote, shot the gun from the back of an NPC. The NPCs, this is why I said they used prediction and everything. The way it worked was, Steph was being carried around by an NPC, I suppose as per orders in the sand. It didn't really say if that was from the orders or whatnot, but the NPCs, they predicted where the NPCs were going to be based off of the fact that they have to have program paths. They got Steph to ride on the back of an NPC because the NPCs don't make sound, and if Steph was knocked out, which she was during that time, she wouldn't have any hostile intent that Izuna could pick up on. And how it worked is the NPC walked up behind her and somehow, I don't remember the exact reasoning why, Steph shot Izuna in the back and won. So yeah, good job, Steph, right? Again, muddied a lot of things. We're an hour and 40 minutes in, and there's still a bit of stuff that I need to get over, specifically the coin toss, and then the ending real quick, and then, like, if I recommend it, and next week's anime. So, yeah. Anyways, they win. Everyone's freaking out, because Amanity just beat the fucking werebeasts, and that means that Sora and Shiro weren't working for the werebeasts like everyone ended up thinking they were, because they bet their race piece against them. But then Izuna was like, oh no, the werebeasts are in a lot of trouble now because she lost while having fun in this game for the first time, because she always treated it as like, if I fuck this up, the werebeasts are going to live in essentially a hell. And Sora and Shiro were like, but you're not. We don't want to strip you of all of your rights or anything. We just want your fucking territory. Like, we want to work with you, not against you. What? So, that, they explain that, but then, game ends, Sora, Shiro, and Izuna are all on good terms and everything. The old man's on decent terms with him at this point. They explain that they're not trying to, they explained to, Izuna that they're not trying to just subjugate them. They're trying to work with them and everything. And then the Shrine Priestess, who's the leader of the werebeasts, comes in. And this is, as quite literally as the anime says, the world's most important coin toss. They end up having this conversation, and this is where I say that, like, sometimes things are playing so far ahead it's fucking ridiculous. Remember when I said that, Sora got the ability to alter what's-her-name's memories? Fioru's memories? Yeah. So what he did was, he got her to go tell a lie to the elves about how the game worked, and he got Jabril, who was part of the Council of 18 Wings, for Aventime, which is like the land of the Flugel, the nation for the Flugel and everything, to get the Flugel in on it, and, he anticipated that, the Shrine Priestess would anticipate him telling the elves, but because she thought he was working for the elves, but he wasn't, but she didn't expect him to get, Aventime into it, so she was, like, backed up into a corner in terms of she couldn't really do anything, but she was like, I'm getting revenge on you because I don't want my people to suffer as slaves, basically. So it ended up being a coin toss where if it was, he flipped it into the air, the Shrine Priestess would call it in the air. Now, the werebeasts have this power called Blood Break, which is, like, it heightens their senses innumerably, and she used it during the coin flip to decide how the coin would land, and then she called it as tails, but, it ended up as on its side, because Sora moved a brick and got it to land perfectly on its side, because gods amongst men, people. Anyways, the way it worked was, if Sora won, he would get all of the land from the werebeasts. All of it. If the Shrine Priestess won, the werebeasts were guaranteed their rights. Part of the they were guaranteed their rights. They were guaranteed to not just get, like, murdered. They were guaranteed part of, like, the produce and stuff from the continent. Basically, they were guaranteed life. And what Sora did was he got it to land on its side as a draw, and he was like, so, do we both win or do we both lose? Because if we both win, we create the Elkian Commonwealth, where we are working together, you all have your rights, we share stuff between these continents, we share our resources, we share everything, we're not trying to subjugate you, and we have your land as part of ours, right? Or we could both lose and we're just back to square one. She was like, well, yeah, obviously we win, because the elves and the Aventime are fucking coming for us now. And, yeah, so they create the Elkian Commonwealth out of that. Again, I'm rushing through real quick, but, yeah, they create this Elkian Commonwealth, and they're like, yeah, woo, did a thing, woohoo! Anyways, that happened, they created that, and then right before the series ends, because she's a Shrine Priestess, which means, in Japanese, a Shrine Priestess is someone who could generally, like, communicate with the gods, I guess. I don't think that's exactly how it works in Japan, but, they made it sound like that, and he was like, the idea of a shrine is that it's to the gods. The Shrine Priestesses work there, keep it clean, keep it everything moving, because it's a shrine to a god. So what Sora and Shiro said were they got the attention of the shrine priestess as she was walking away, and he was like, "Hey, you're a shrine priestess. That means got you've got one, right? Meaning a god." And the shrine priestess just kind of snickered a little bit. Fucking blood break ability thing. Summon an old deus, one of the old gods, and you know, the old god was just like, "What do you want, mortal?" And he was like, and it ended. Like, that was it. That was the end of the fucking season. And we're like, which, again, I've muddied a lot of details, but part of that is because I still have some stuff I need to talk about. So, that was the end of No Game, No Life. That was it. It ends right there with her, like, calling in this old deus, and they were like, "An old deus? Fucking what?" And Sora and Shidor is just like, "This is normal. We deal with gods all the time." And that's where it ends. Which, I gotta say, they have a movie coming out, No Game No Life Zero, which is based off of the original manga and light novels. I don't know how this all is gonna work, but when you look at the promotional stuff to it, it looks very similar to No Game No Life, so who knows how this will work. But the thing that I want to say is, I want a season 2. Fucking want a season 2. But, while they were making a season 2, allegedly, it might be cancelled, because the creator of No Game No Life was accused of plagiarism. Yeah. That's fun. So, hopefully we get a season 2. They're making a movie. Maybe we'll get a season 2 after the movie. I hope so. I want to see what happens. I love No Game, No Life. Which comes into the customary, what do I give No Game, No Life? Fucking 10. Don't care. 10 across the board. I remember this show being good. From many a year ago, I watched it as it was coming out. Again, one of the only anime I've watched on a weekly basis as it was coming out. I remembered it being really fucking good. Watched it again over last night and this morning. Even better than I remembered. Fucking 10. Watch this anime, everyone. Recommend it to anyone. If someone doesn't even like anime, be like, "Look, it doesn't matter. Watch this. This is a good show. It's interesting. The plot is there. The characters are very interesting. Yes, they are a bit one-dimensional in, like, their personalities and everything. But their personalities are interesting, and they all play together well. They all play together in a way that works. It's amazing. Watch this anime. I could not, I can't physically get you to understand how much I recommend this anime. Oh my god, it's so good. 10 out of 10 any fucking day of the week, dude. 10. 100 out of 10. I don't know. It's fucking great. It's so good. Honestly, after watching this again, it's hard to even, I watched this, and now I'm thinking back to, Boku no Hero Academia, and I gave one of them an 8, maybe both of them an 8, I don't know. Honestly, as a reference for, comparing it to this, it's like a fucking 5, dude. I'm still keeping the scores the same, but, compared to No Game, No Life, it's got nothing, man. Yeah, the characters have a lot, there's a lot more characters, and they're a bit more than one-dimensional. They're, two-dimensional in a way. And, thing is, it didn't have the plot. This show has great character interaction. It has great characters. It has to me, it's a great plot. Yes, some people will be like, well, it's not that amazing, or, well, it's a bit cliched, or, well, it's not... Good for you. It's an opinion. This is fucking great, in mine. Yeah. My opinion, man. Watch this anime. I can't stress it enough. Also, I'm sorry that I have, condensed everything so much. I didn't realize how long this video had gone on until I looked at it and I was like, oh, we have 15 minutes left. Which is fine, because you know what? Yeah, you know the main points. Watch the anime for the points that I mentioned really quick, or the points that you didn't quite understand what I was talking about or something, because it's so fucking worth it. The 4 hours of your time that you spend watching this anime are worth it. Even if you watch one episode a day, and it takes you a week and a half, it's worth it. This anime is really, really good. I will put it on my Mal after this, which I might start linking my Mal in the streams and everything, but it's going to be a 10. No doubt in my mind, a 10. Honestly, I'm gonna watch Spice and Wolf at some point for the anime talk. I'm gonna do one on him. It may not hold up to No Game No Life at this point, because even though I do remember Spice and Wolf being really good to me, and I do love the characters, and I do love the plot, I don't know if I could I don't know. If I only count the anime, I might not be able to. If I count the light novels, I can, but I'm a lot farther than the anime and the light novels, so, yeah. Anyways, sorry, that was my phone. Yeah, that's gonna be it for the anime. Anyways, let's talk about next week's anime, which is Hataraku Maou-sama. Which, okay, real quick, one thing I've gotta say about No Game No Life, don't watch the dub. It is terrible. I watched it subbed. My nephew was watching it on my PS4. He turned it on dubbed. I heard Sora and Shiro talking, and about cried. It's so bad. They don't sound right at all. They don't... It doesn't work. It just doesn't. It is a very, very shitty dub, honestly. Watch it subbed. You will appreciate it so much more. I think, I watched parts of the episodes that I'd already seen in the dub. It took away from it. Watch it subbed, guys. Please. I can't recommend that one enough either. Anyways, let's talk about next week's anime real quick. We're watching Hataraku Maou-sama, or The Devil is a Part-Timer. That anime, I'll tell you right now, I've seen it subbed and dubbed. I'm watching it dubbed. It's a great dub. It's an amazing dub. It's the best dub I've seen of an anime. Straight up. It's fucking great. And the anime is hilarious. The light novels are hilarious. Oh, guys. These No Game No Life and Hataraku Maou-sama, I could rave about these for months. It's so good. I could have talked about No Game No Life for 4 hours, 5 hours. There's so much that's just good. And Hataraku Maou-sama is no different. It is, I'll tell you right now, it's an anime I recommend, and it's getting a 9 or a 10 from me, without a doubt. I can tell you right now, I've seen this anime 2 or 3 times, I've read the light novels, they're all fucking great. Yeah. Anyways, Devil is a Part-Timer next week, guys. Don't worry, I know I don't have anything going on Saturday. I do need to go to a college at some point. I'll do that in the middle of the fucking week of the week after or something if I have to. I'm being here as a stream for that. Plus, I'll have more people with me. It'll be good. You just heard me talk for 2 hours with, very little stopping in between. Anyways, I need to stop talking. I think that's gonna be it, guys. Again, Devil's Part-Timer next week. No Game No Life from this week. 10 out of 10. Watch it, please. Watch it. If I ever make one request, please watch No Game No Life. Even though Spice and Wolf is my favorite anime, I'd recommend you watch this over that in some cases. Please watch this. Anyways, next week, Hataraku Maou-sama, I also recommend that incredibly. So yeah, it's gonna be a good time. Anyways, guys, that's gonna be it. Whew, I hope to see you all next week for The Devil is a Part-Timer. It's been a good time. I also hope to have some more people and for things to go a bit better next week, but yeah. Whew, that's gonna be it. Hope to see you then. Have a good one, everyone.